Hi everyone, I'm excited to be here with you all today, and we're going to go on our own little version of the Eras Tour. Fortunately, this is a lot more affordable than the Eras Tour actually was, where we could all get tickets to this one. But what we're going to be doing is we are going to figure out what era each of you fall within. I'm sure you guys already have your own guesses based on your own listening experiences, but I formulated an assessment that's going to actually classify you based on therapeutic criteria, personality, values, into what era you actually are within. And once we figure out that information, we're also going to connect it to the therapeutic space, because I am a therapist, that's what I do. And so based on whatever criteria you fall within, for whichever era you are within, we're going to come up with an intervention of sorts that you might experience within a therapy room. So that being said, I know he gave me a lovely bio, and that's who I am, but more importantly, what I think you guys care about is my actual Taylor Swift criteria. Yes, I am a therapist. Yes, I work with athletes. Yes, I work with teens, but more importantly, I am a Swiftie. And so a Swiftie is someone who is passionate and a loyal fan of Taylor Swift beyond just a casual listener. As he introduced, I was fortunate enough to attend the Eras Tour twice. My friend is a Ticketmaster god. We got very lucky. I was able to go to Chicago Night 2 and Indy Night 1, and it was the best experiences of my life. Okay, so this is what it means to be a Swiftie. This is who we are. We are people who are very passionate about Taylor Swift and everything that she creates and everything that she does. Our goal here is to figure out what era you are in. As I started this off, the people who aren't Swifties might not totally understand this language, but essentially what era means, Taylor Swift calls her albums, the things she creates, different eras, because they represent different points in time for her and what she has experienced. One of the amazing things about Taylor Swift and her music is that, yes, she may have written it about a certain experience that, a billionaire pop star has created, and you might think, well, none of us are that, how are we going to relate? But something that's really powerful about her music is that it actually calls upon themes of just greater human experience. So there are things within all of it that each of us can relate to. Each album or each era explores different themes about said human experience. And so you get to kind of categorize and fall within different ones because they each represent something different. So to claim or name that, oh, I am within this era, it typically means that we are experiencing something that is predominantly displayed within that era. So as you guys take it, I'm just going to say some fun things about Taylor Swift. One of the things that I think is really cool and really powerful, and again, I'm just a Swiftie, so I can nerd out about this all day long. When she starts her Eras Tour, something really powerful that she says, and something that almost like gives us permission to be analyzing our lives within these eras, is that it's also written within the manuscript too. One of her songs is, now and then I reread the manuscript, but the story isn't mine anymore. Yes, she claims and knows she wrote these songs about her own experience, and yet we get to take the language, we get to take the themes, we get to take the music and use it as our own points of relation about whatever story or whatever narrative is happening within our life right now. And I think that's something that she actually claims and names really, really well. So diving into some of the albums, of course we are starting with Debut. Someone in their debut era is an optimistic human being. They might be feeling like they are at a new beginning or a new chapter or a new journey within their life. They might be described as having a naive joy or a childlike enthusiasm, where they are ready to tackle life and everything it has to offer them, but they might be a little naive about what actually life has for them around the corner. They might not be aware of what obstacles they might run into. They have their sights set on huge goals, and yet they've got their head in the clouds a little bit. That naive joy is keeping them from actually maybe understanding what it takes to achieve those goals. And so for all of the therapeutic interventions we're going to cover today, what we're doing is we're playing on the strengths and the things that are already present within this era. We are meeting this person wherever they are at. We're not trying to change this person, make them into a different era. We're just trying to give them something that plays on their strengths and maybe fills in some gaps of some growth eras. For someone like this, who has this beautiful zest for life, but again, head in the clouds a little bit, a little naive, a little innocent, what we would offer is doing a goal ladder, where with the goal ladder, we have our outcome goal at the top, which is the thing that we want to achieve most. So maybe for this person, it is going to college. Great, phenomenal. What we would do is we would create process goals which are things that are more tangible in our day-to-day life that we can actually set our sights on achieving. Because when we name a goal like, I want to go to college, amazing. What do we do to get there? And so the process goals make sure that we're accountable to each step of the way of how to achieve our outcome goal. So debut era can also be viewed as one that's almost like a little young, a little naive, which makes sense because this is Taylor's first album, so it makes sense that it would kind of offer some themes that correspond with a bit of a younger age group. Our next era is the fearless era. Someone in their fearless era might see the world through rose-colored glasses. They value connection, and they look for vulnerability within themselves and people around them. When they see the world through rose-colored glasses, though, similar to debut, they are a bit overly and naively optimistic, both about the world and the people around them. They long for connection and relationships, but when they have these rose-colored glasses on, they're not often going to see the real characteristics of the person that they are wanting to be in connection with. That being said, they often find themselves self-sacrificing a lot, where when they want these connections and they're viewing this person almost through this lens of who we want them to be rather than who they are, this person will often change themselves in order to fit into the mold of who this person maybe wants them to be or who they feel like they need to be in order to achieve these connections. What we would implement in a therapeutic space for someone who is maybe displaying these characteristics is we would create a character sheet. So similar to an English class, where in literature we might analyze a character from a novel from like a third-party logical perspective, where we try and figure out, okay, well, what are the things that they say? What are their motivations? What's their thought process? Where we get a really good view at whoever this character is or whoever this person is. We would do this for someone in their fearless era because, again, they've got these rose-colored glasses on, seeing maybe what they want to see and not what's actually there. When we take the actual speech, the actions, the thoughts and feelings of the person who maybe they have their sights set on for a romantic relationship, and we actually analyze what it is about this person, we might find that with their rose-colored glasses, they're not actually seeing who this person actually is. And so again, with all these therapeutic interventions, same with a real therapeutic space, we meet the person where they're at. We meet the client or this era human wherever they are. So they're portraying these characteristics, all really good things. We're not going to try and challenge them and make them into someone new, but we're going to offer a little bit of growth in an area where they might feel like they need it. So moving on to our next one, speak now. So someone in their speak now era is an advocate. They long to prove other people wrong. They often have this like underdog mentality a little bit, where they are like, oh, you have this expectation for me? Screw that, I'm gonna top that, I'm gonna beat that, I'm gonna be better than what you think I'm gonna be. They have an undying self-belief in who they are. That being said, those are all amazing, amazing things. And yet this person can sometimes come off as aggressive and argumentative. Because they have so much passion, because they have so much belief and confidence in who they are, other people might not always be able to perceive that correctly. And so they might accidentally push other people away or struggle to form connections because they might come across as a little bit too harsh, as a little bit too loud. And again, these are all really good things. Having an independent soul, being really passionate, being so undyingly proud of yourself and having belief in who you are, amazing. But if this person struggles to form connections because of those parts and how they're perceived, what we would implement is almost giving them language of how to connect with other people. And we would do that through using I statements. I statements are essentially just a really nice framework of how to offer language to something that we feel, we believe, while not placing blame on another person. So this helps a person in their speak now era because, again, they have so much passion, they want to be able to advocate and communicate to others, but we give them language to do so in a way that's not blaming. So with an I statement, we would start with our own feelings, where we are owning whatever it is that we feel about a situation. Maybe I feel hurt when I am left alone at lunch and my friends go to Starbucks without me because it makes me feel like I've lost my friends. My needs, then we communicate and ask to the other person, I would appreciate being asked next time to also go to Starbucks. maybe I want a coffee too. We do this language so it doesn't ostracize other people from this person, and it offers connection instead. Again, all of these eras have really, really good qualities. We're only offering a therapeutic intervention if they feel like they need support and some growth, because honestly, everyone can stand to grow. Moving on to our next one, someone in their red era. This one, we start to go a little bit downhill in the sense of like positivity meter. Where the other eras, they're a bit more upbeat in some sense. This one, we start to get a little angry. We start to feel a little jaded. We feel a little distrusting. This person is feeling burned from their life experiences, and they are a bit closed off. They've got their walls up. They are not wanting to connect with others as much as the other ones. And when we analyze this album and someone in this era, we end up finding that when we bring attachment styles in. So attachment styles are essentially the ways that we connect with other humans. So someone in their red era, when they're not in a relationship, they're going to display an avoidant attachment style. So what that means is they're a bit more aloof, they're a bit more closed off, they're not wanting to connect with others. And then when this person is in a relationship with other people, they display an anxious attachment style. So an anxious attachment style is when someone is a bit more fearful, literally anxious, about the person leaving. So someone in their red era, while they might present as closed off, aloof, defensive, when they are in relationship with other people, even just friendships, they will be extremely reassurance seeking. And by that I mean, they will consistently be asking the person, hey, am I okay? Do you like me? Are we still friends? Please tell me we're good. And it's really coming from a place of fear, which is really sad and really hard. And yet this person truly has no idea that that's what they're doing. They just really, really feel like they want this connection, and they need the reassurance that they're safe within it. So what we would implement for someone in their red era in a therapeutic space is we would create a confidence resume. This person is so anxious about their relationships and their safety within them that they often look to other people for validation and reassurance of who they are and their own strengths. And so what we would do is we would turn the lens back on the person, and we would say, no, we don't need anyone else's voice to tell you that you're worth something, to tell you that you're safe. So what we would do with a confidence resume is we would have this person brainstorm the things that they know themselves to be good at. Where your strengths, okay, maybe I'm good at being a therapist. Maybe I'm good at running. All these different things that we would name about ourselves. What's cool about a confidence resume as well is we get to incorporate other people's voices within it too. So we get to take compliments we've received from others, where maybe my friend told me I have good style. Okay, great, I get to write that down. Maybe I had a coach tell me that I'm really dedicated. Okay, great, I get to write that down too. We do this type of work because so often it can be hard for someone who is so anxious to be able to name these really positive things about themselves. But I'm sure when we sit down and we think about it, we can all think about a compliment a friend gave us. We can all think about really good feedback a teacher gave us. So we get to incorporate all these other voices into building our own self-esteem, rather than needing to consistently ask if we're worth something from another person, which ends up just being really hard. Someone in their 1989 era. Again, we kind of slope back up. Our red era was a bit of a downer of the, okay, I am jaded, I am distrusting, I am anxious, and now we seem to be going back up the slope a little bit. Where from the outside, this is our fun-loving, thrill-seeking era. We have someone who often does not think of the consequences before they act, which can be a bad thing and not what we want to encourage, but hey, they are having fun. They are enjoying their freedom. They often have a big group of friends around them, and always from the outside look like they're having a grand old time. Someone who maybe we admire from afar and is like, wow, they look like they've got it all together. They look like they're perfect. They look like everything's going for them. And yet when we dive underneath the surface, someone in their 1989 era might feel like they're actually struggling to form close connections with other people. Because they have so many people around them, and they have so much fun, they might struggle to actually be vulnerable with people in their close circle. Because they just want all of these connections, they just want this fun, they just want this like surface level, I'ma have a good time. type of vibe. But this person, they might actually be struggling underneath the surface, which, like, honestly, I think is a pretty good representation in general of we can never judge a book by its cover. This one especially goes for that. What we would do for someone in their 1989 era is, again, they might appear like everything is going good for them. They might appear like they have a whole group of people around them. But they might not feel like they know who their close friends are. So what we would do is we would create almost like a defining friendships circle. I want you to picture like rings on a tree trunk, how they continue to increase as the tree gets older. We would start with you in the middle, and as we go on this circle that is closest to you, those would be your closest friends. So for someone in their 1989 era, we might need to define what even a close friend is. Maybe with a close friend, we want someone who we can be vulnerable with. We want someone who we can spill our deepest, darkest secrets to. Maybe I want a Sarah in my life, who I feel like I can sit down with and we can talk about all of our problems and all the drama that's going on. And when we get further out, these are our friends. These are people who we might not share our deepest, darkest secrets with, but hey, I can go grab a coffee with Sally and we can go have a good time and we can go have fun. When we get out even further, those are our mutuals. Those are people who we know, who we can say hi to in the hallways, but again, we might not be as close to them. This is important for someone in their 1989 era because they can feel now the connections that they can have with people, but they almost kind of know, okay, here's what these people are needed for in my life. Here's where I can connect, and here's where I can go have a good time. And it'll kind of bridge that gap of connection for them. Moving on to our next era, someone in their reputation era. This is one of my personal favorites simply because I am eagerly awaiting Taylor's version of Reputation. So, someone in their Reputation era. I'm going to go ahead and cover almost like the Reputation album gets in the world, which is kind of like this angry, standing on business type of album from afar. Whereas when we look deeper within the lyrics, we actually find that it's this beautiful love album filled with self-confidence, where this person, they might maintain strong boundaries with others, and they are confident and outspoken, and they are fiercely in love with themselves and independent. With this person and with this album, you will actually find, though, that it's almost like two sides of the same coin, where depending on who they're viewed by, depending on who they are perceived by, they're actually going to get a different reputation based on maybe what they're thinking or how they're being viewed. So someone might see this person and say, oh my gosh, you're so confident. And another person might see this person and say, oh, you're so cocky. Similarly, another person might see this person and say, wow, you're such a fierce advocate. And another person might see this person and say, oh, you are really aggressive and off-putting. This person kind of toggles that line between both of how they're being viewed and what their representation is. So how we would approach this person is, again, playing on all the strengths. We love the fierce independence. We love that they are an advocate. We love that they can stand their ground. But when they have these strong boundaries, they tend to just cut people off really quickly. Where if someone makes a mistake, it is, ooh, nope, I'm done with you. You are gone out of my life. I don't want to ever see you again. And so what we would implement is actually defining boundaries and how to set them, where rather than just cutting someone off or ghosting them, no, like we can have a conversation and it actually creates more connection, more understanding for people. So we would go into the types of boundaries people can have: physical, intellectual, time, spiritual, sexual, emotional, material. We have all these different things that we can set boundaries around, and then we give language of how to do it. Because again, we don't want to have people walk all over us. That's not what we're aiming for here. But we're also aiming for connection. We don't just want to cut people off for fun and shove them away. So someone in their lover era, from afar, similar with Reputation, it almost has its own reputation in of itself. The Lover album, the Lover era, is really viewed from afar as this beautiful, fantastical representation of love. I mean, the Lover song itself, it's played as so many first dances at their weddings. Like, it is really, really, from afar, a really beautiful love album. And yet when we dive into the lyrics and we dive into the deeper themes and messages of this album, we actually find that this person is a hopeless romantic, amazing, they just want a love story. How cool. And yet, we actually find that this person, in an attempt to achieve that relationship that they're looking for, they're a fierce people pleaser. So a people pleaser is someone who they will alter themselves in order to meet the needs of people around them, where they will change aspects of who they are, lose their identity, lose their values in order to please various people in their life. They do this as a way of keeping peace. And so someone in their lover era, they will often have a fear of abandonment as well, which is likely why they engage in these people-pleasing behaviors, because they just so badly want to remain within these relationships, both friendship and romantic. How we would approach this person in a therapeutic space is we would create a Johari's window. And so essentially, if you have been in a biology class, it's almost like a Punnett square, where, yeah, nice, okay. It's almost like a Punnett square where we would go square by square and figure out how this person presents to others. What are they like in the real world? What are other people perceiving about who they are? We would go into what this person knows about themselves that they might not showcase to other people. This is really important for a people pleaser because maybe in their world, they showcase that they are this happy, carefree, go-lucky type of person, but under the surface, maybe we find that they're really anxious. Maybe we find that they're actually not as confident as they like to portray to other people. And when we know that information, then we can help bring themselves into a bit more authenticity. So someone in their folklore era, we're kind of playing off of when this album was released, which was during COVID, when we were all kind of going stir crazy in our homes. So it is filled with whimsy, it is filled with fantasy, and it is filled with escapism. This person who embodies this era, they might have their head in the clouds, dreaming of starting a new life, starting over, and becoming someone new, which is really amazing, really wonderful. And yet when this person consistently thinks of reinventing themselves and creating a new identity, they are entirely avoiding what is happening in their day-to-day life, about their current life. And none of that is a bad thing. Like, hey, I'm a huge fan of fantasy books. I will go home and read those. So some escapism is really, really nice. But how we would approach this person is we would do some gratitude journaling. We would bring their attention back to their current life in a way where we're almost highlighting the positivity points that are happening for them. Because someone who is consistently escaping their actual life, they might not be able to view the things that are good happening for them. So we're just going to redirect their attention that way too. Almost through all of our eras, we are moving into our Evermore era. The Evermore album is kind of jokingly called the older sister to folklore. There's a joke amongst the fandom, amongst Swifties, that Taylor Swift hates Evermore because she consistently forgets it. And it's almost like the joke about sibling order, where the older sister or the middle child is so often forgotten. So we're kind of playing on some of those attributes that someone in that sibling order might also have. So someone in their Evermore era, they might be the therapist of the friend group. They might be doing my job for their friends unpaid. If so, I'm very sorry. They are also the caretaker of their friend group. They are the mom of the group. They are the person who is watching out for everyone, being such a good support system to everyone around them. And yet, on the inside, this person might not be taking care of themselves. They might be questioning their own worth and value. They might be really anxious. This person within this era showcases many of the themes we've seen before, just a bit elevated, where they've also got people-pleasing tendencies. Whereas people-pleasing in the lover era, it kind of comes from this like higher level anxious energy where it's a bit more upbeat. Whereas this one, it's coming from a more of a sad, I'm owning this, I'm really scared type of voice. And we can see that within the music itself, where the Lover album is often more upbeat, it's more pop-oriented. This one is a bit more of the slow type of calming music. And so it rings true with also the themes that are within there as well. So someone in their Evermore era, they are also going to display the anxious attachment style that we saw earlier in the Red album, where they are very, very scared of being left by these relationships. And again, they are going to do everything they can in order to maintain them. So how we would approach this person is we would create some self-care strategies. This person is really likely struggling with their own worth and taking care of themselves. They're so good at it for other people, but we want to turn their attention inward and making sure they're getting the care and the love they need. So we would talk about prioritizing sleep, drinking water, connecting with loved ones. listening to music, Taylor Swift of course, because that's why we're here, that's who we love. And so we're just gonna make them focus on taking care of them before they take care of others. Someone in their Midnight's era, they are authentic and they are bravely speaking their truth. They are owning who they are and kind of no matter the consequences, which is a really beautiful thing, and yet this person underneath the surface has raging anxiety. They overthink and they are so often really, really scared of the things that they're doing. Which, again, we love that on the outside they are unapologetically, bravely owning who they are, and under the surface, they're just a little scared about it. They're anxious about it. They're nervous. This person as well tends to overexert themselves, giving 100% in every single area of their life. Maybe in school they are giving 100%, they want straight A's, they want A pluses. Then maybe they're on a sports team, they are giving 100%, they want everything. In their social life, they are also giving 100%. When I word it like that, I think you can find that this person is going to be on the verge of burnout because they are applying themselves everywhere with no break for who they are. And that's that anxious energy kind of pushing them and keeping them going at all times. And so again, we're just going to play on these strengths. We're not saying that any of these people are bad. We're not saying that any of the things, the values within these eras are bad. We're just going to add some growth and we're going to add some support. So what we would do for someone in their Midnight's era in order to tackle some of that anxiety is we would offer mindfulness. Mindfulness is a great way of slowing down and grounding yourself and getting that anxious brain to turn off for a little bit. So what we would do here is called safe place grounding. We would have you visualize somewhere that feels really safe, really nurturing, really secure. And when we visualize it with all 5 of our senses, you'll actually find that your body will feel like you're in that space and be able to calm down and turn off that anxious part of your brain for a little bit. Moving into our last era, TTPD, our most recent era from Taylor Swift. Someone in their TTPD era, a mouthful, and I'm saying the acronym, someone in their TTPD era values emotional intelligence within themselves and with others. They have started to do the work and they are trying to be very self-aware of who they are and what is going on around them within the people around them. So they are going to value that within themselves, and they will also value that within people around them, where they want to be surrounded by people who are also self-aware, who are also doing the work, who are also aimed at growing. And when someone has such a drive for growth and such a drive for understanding themselves, there's naturally going to be goodbyes, where they're almost growing away from certain people who aren't doing that type of work. So this person is often experiencing some type of grief of, oh wait, when I want this, I no longer align with this type of person. So they're likely going to be grieving some loss of something. With this era as well, this person is likely an intellectualizer. I'll define it too. So an intellectualizer is someone who maybe can name everything that they're feeling. We get that self-awareness, right? Of like, I feel sad today, okay, or I'm angry, and they can name it all. Name all their experiences. But when someone is an intellectualizer, they often do not spend time feeling that emotion. They can name it, and then they say, okay, I don't want to deal with that. And they shove it to the side and keep going with their life. And while that is good and grand that they can name it, in order for healing to happen, we need to actually learn how to sit with our feelings and feel them, which can be really hard and really scary. I'm going to acknowledge that one. That's my job every single day, is to help people feel their emotions rather than just name them. And so what we would do is notice it, name it, accept it, be really curious about it, like, okay, why am I sad? What's causing this sadness within me? Or what's causing this anger? And then we get to allow it, and then we get to move on from it. When we actually take the time to feel our emotions, you'll find that they tend to cycle through a lot quicker than when we just ignore them and shove them to the side, because when we ignore them and shove them to the side, they will explode like a volcano, I promise you, and it's not pretty. No one wants that one. So those are our eras. We went through all of them. We got through it all. We figured out what makes people tick within each of them and figured out what type of therapeutic intervention would be helpful for everyone. So, just like Taylor Swift would say, it was the end of a decade, but the start of an age. I hope you guys can all take this information about yourselves maybe you'd start to do something with it. Maybe you look at these interventions that were offered and you can explore yourself. If you have any questions, if you want more, made a website, it has all the information and more on it. Visit if you like, but that's what I got for you.